The Trump and Cruz campaigns have moved their sparring match from Twitter right to the airwaves. The GOP rivals launched direct attack ads against each other, now just 9 days away from the Iowa caucuses. Real Clear Politics national reporter Caitlin Huey-Burns, following it all, joins us from an equally snowy New York City. We're glad you got into the Bureau. We're not sure we're going to be able to get you home, but we'll work on that. In the meantime, you've got Cruz hitting Trump in Iowa on eminent domain. You've got Trump hitting Cruz on immigration, actually using some footage from Cruz's interview with our own Brett Baer. The question is, which one of these is really a body shot? Which one is a headshot?
Well, what's interesting about Donald Trump's ad against Ted Cruz is that it focuses on immigration. And as we know, immigration nationally within the Republican Party is a significant and contentious and possibly divisive issue. But what Cruz is trying to do on the issue of eminent domain is to paint Donald Trump as part of the kind of the government problem, a bastion of government intrusion. And so I think to Cruz's supporters, that can play well. It's not an issue that's been talked a lot on the campaign trail, but it's something that Cruz thinks will show a significant and tangible, really, for people who have felt the effects of that divide. What's interesting, though, about Trump's ad is not only that it goes after Cruz on immigration, but also kind of paints Cruz as part of the Washington establishment, talking about the difference between amendments and all the intricacies involved in lawmaking that people really that glaze over when they hear about that kind of thing. So it's kind of a two-pronged attack, I think.
All right, so we're 9 days away from Iowa. We're looking at live pictures right now of Donald Trump holding a rally in Sioux City, Iowa. Has it effectively become, Caitlin, a two-man race in Iowa? Is this really Trump v. Cruz cage match, which is obviously something that had been talked about for so long, but for so long they seem to be good friends, and now we have this?
Right, exactly. It is a remarkable development, but as you mentioned, since we're getting so close, it's time for the two of them to take their gloves off. We saw that in the debate last week, and I certainly think we'll see it again on the debate stage coming up in Iowa this coming week. But it is really a two-man race in Iowa and really nationally. You have Marco Rubio and John Kasich and Jeb Bush and Chris Christie all battling it out. I think Rubio has a chance to emerge as a third contender, perhaps. But really, the top two is Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, and both of them, I think, really need to win Iowa. So that's what makes this a big competition. Trump obviously has based his campaign on winning, so a loss there would be a blow. And then Ted Cruz, his campaign is really tailor-made for a state like Iowa. So a loss there, I think, would really blunt his momentum heading on into the rest of the states.
All right, so if this is indeed a two-man race, take a listen to what Lindsey Graham had to say about his choice between either Ted Cruz or Donald Trump.
If you nominate Trump and Cruz, I think you get the same outcome. Whether it's death by being shot or poisoning, does it really matter? I don't think the outcome will be substantially different. I think Donald Trump's domestic and foreign policy is gibberish. I think Ted Cruz has a reputation of being ideological to a fault. Let's just pick somebody out of the phone book if we have to. We can win this election unless we lose it.
Wow. Yeah, we've kind of missed Lindsey Graham in this race, right, with the quotes like that. But Lindsey Graham is pointing to this idea of the Republicans are feeling this, choice between a lesser of two evils, if you will, as it pertains to how some of the establishment Republicans are feeling at this point. We saw a few signs of this kind of warming up to Donald Trump as an alternative to Ted Cruz. As we know, Ted Cruz is not well liked among his colleagues, and he's actually made a Senate career out of being disliked by his colleagues to show that he is not part of the Washington, establishment, if you will, and doesn't do things the Washington way. So he's actually using comments like, from Bob Dole and from others to show that, to kind of paint Donald Trump as part of the establishment. So it's a kind of an interesting twist in this race, and of course, as we know, the establishment is kind of a dirty word on the campaign trail.
Well, it's a dirty word for both, and then there's this whole argument within the establishment that possibly they'll see if they can't unite against Cruz and go with Trump. So who knows as this plays out. Caitlin Huey-Burns here to break it all down for us. Hopefully you can get out of the Bureau in New York. If not, I'm sure there's a couch somewhere to crash on. Thanks for coming in on a snow day.
Thank you. Stay safe and warm.